This episode is brought to you by Lumina Growth Lab. At Lumina, we help professional learning and development companies who are struggling with predictable lead flow, breaking beyond their network, and a sniper approach to attracting the ideal clients so they can have a smoother sales process, finally have scalability, and ultimately take their business to the next level. Most of the time, our clients come to us frustrated because business has fundamentally changed since the pandemic and now the disruption of AI. But with the right strategy and support, they're able to confidently add new channels of lead generation, leading to a packed pipeline that creates sustainable revenue and year over year growth for cheaper than ever before because of the use of AI technologies. If that sounds like you or someone you know, connect with me on LinkedIn and I'd be happy to have a conversation with you about unlocking your business's potential. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to the Marketing Matrix. I'm your host, Lisanne Murphy, and today I am joined by the wonderful, talented, and beautiful Joan Burge. Joan, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Yes, of course. I am very excited and thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Guys, you are in for a treat. This woman has so much experience, and really what she's created is remarkable and unique. So, before I really hand over the microphone and you get to hear from her, let me take a moment to introduce this powerhouse woman. So, Joan Burge is a trailblazing entrepreneur, author, speaker, and professional development visionary with more than 50 years of real world business and life experience. Joan is the founder and CEO of Office Dynamics International, a company she's led since 1990 through personal tragedy, financial upheaval, a brain tumor, and the global pandemic. A pioneer in administrative professional training, she has led transformative experiences for Fortune 500 companies like Walt Disney World, Cisco, Procter & Gamble, Nationwide Insurance, and Humana. Her dynamic presence, courageous storytelling, and strategic insight have earned her a reputation as both a powerhouse on stage and a trusted advisor in boardrooms. As a two-time author on women's empowerment, Joan knows how to navigate adversity and help others rise with purpose. With her new book Red Lipstick On, Joan brings a real, raw, and radiant voice to the conversation about life after loss, reinvention, and the untapped power of women in their second and third acts. Okay, guys, so if that doesn't get you excited, I really don't know what will. I'm so excited, Joan. Again, thank you so much for coming and being a part of the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so
Well, listening to that is I'm worn out.
you're like, wow, I've done a lot in my life.
Guys, I'm still standing.
I love it. That's awesome. That's so fantastic. Okay, so for people that aren't as familiar with their journey, I had the opportunity to hear a little bit about your story when we first met, but I would love our audience to kind of get a feel for just the evolution of how you've become this really robust company and advocate for women and really given a space for office administration that doesn't get as much attention as it should. I would love to hear if you
Sure
could just
don't.
give some
Yeah.
highlights of your journey.
Yes. Thank you. I'm really excited to share that. So I'll go back, of course, how the show, I'll try to do the short story. But before I started Office Dynamics in 1990, I worked as an administrative professional for 20 years. And during that time, I worked in 12 different companies in 5 states. Now, at that time, that was frowned upon. I mean, if you jumped around, today it's like, okay. But then it was like, well, it wasn't because I was a bad assistant. I was an eager assistant. I was hungry. If there was a good opportunity, I wanted to take advantage of it. But also, I lost 2 jobs because of downsizing. And then we moved with my husband's career. So we moved to different states so that I was able to do that. Interestingly, as I reflect on that, that was so great. I was in training for what I would do the next part of my life and my career because I was in so many different environments. I learned a lot. I was a sponge. I saw the way different businesses worked. I was working alongside different management styles. I really am grateful for all of that because that has helped me to who I am today. And then I was just like, all right, what do I want to do next? Right. Because I did have a wonderful career, but I didn't have a college degree. I mean, that's all I knew was being a secretary. And It came to mind through a friend. She said, "Why don't you teach assistants how to be great assistants? You know what to do and you know the challenges that they face." And that got my head spinning. Interestingly, all through grade school, I wanted to be a teacher. So that's maybe why it intrigued me a little bit, right? And I realized that there was a huge gap in training for assistants. Like the people I supported, the leaders, the managers, the executives, they got all kinds of training and education. They got to go to conferences. And yet I didn't have anything specific for my career. And yet I'm running their life. So this just didn't make sense to me. Like I need to be on that upward trajectory just like they are. And so I saw that gap and I decided to fill that gap. But it was not easy. I mean, I stepped out. I pioneered an entirely new industry. In 1990, there was not training available specific to the administrative profession. That was really robust, just not be going beyond how to organize your desk, but how to really think and be strategic and all of that good stuff and how to be a leader. So it was definitely a battle in the beginning. And I was trying to change perceptions. I was trying to change the way management and companies viewed assistants because I would call. In those days, you pick up the phone and you would call people to see if you could talk to someone. And I would get so many no's. No, no, no. We don't need to train assistants. We don't spend money on them. They don't need training. It was so hard, but I was determined and it just all the more kind of made me mad. Like, yes, they do. They deserve it. They deserve to be recognized. They're running the lives of your management people. So it was hard. Like I said, it was very hard, but I was very, very determined. And I just kept going. And so I created all my own programs. I wrote everything. And to this day, 35 years later, I design all the curriculum, all the programs. I have I don't know, over 200 certification courses. I've written 7 books for assistants and then 2 books for women, which is where I'm evolving. And then, but on that journey, my focus was on-site training pre-pandemic, right? And I know you and I talked about the pandemic and what that did. And that was really, I had to pivot everything. But prior to the pandemic, I was being brought into those big companies like Walt Disney, like Nationwide. I was in the trenches. I absolutely loved it because, one, I was helping all these assistants who knew how to be an assistant, but it was about taking them to the next level and the next level and really bringing about their excellence. It was about them and bringing their gifts forward. And I absolutely loved it. And I still love helping people today, even if it's through virtual world, right? And what I also loved at that time, being able to go on site, though, I learned a lot, again, from all of those managers and the HR people. And I was working with training and development and seeing all these different cultures and how businesses operated. And I'm a sponge. I am just a sponge who I am self-taught. I will soak up everything I possibly can. So I was doing that and kept just on that journey. We created a conference for administrative professionals. We're now going into our 33rd year for that in person. And so I love doing that as our bigger public event. And then I also do another interesting piece of my work that I love is I coach executives and their assistants on how to build a partnership, how to be more productive, improving their processes. So I love that because that's very one-on-one, very personal, to their goals. And so then the pandemic hit, devastating. I know it was devastating for a lot of businesses, but it definitely was devastating to me. I mean, I had all my work in 2020 was on site. We're talking a lot of money, a lot of big contracts. And boom, in a week, done. I was supposed to go on the road too. That was our 30th year anniversary. I was going to go to different cities and speak. Had to cancel everything. I mean, what do you do when all your business disappears in a week? And you got employees. So thankfully, I pivot. That's what I do. I'm really good at it. When I have to pivot, I pivot. I don't have time to worry about it, to stress about it. Just take that action. Fortunately, I had so much content. I could take the content and make it work for virtual, but the virtual space was new to me. I mean, that was different. I'm used to in-person interaction with people and all of that using training props. And now I've got to just sit at a camera. But we did it. We did it. We got through that period, also with the help of some PPE money. I mean, we were able to apply for the PPE twice. So that helped keep us afloat while I was doing the pivot. And then, so, we've come out of that. And to this day, virtual is still a lot of the work that we do. Not as much in person. It's starting to come back a little bit. So, as I was coming upon 2025, I decided that as part of our 35th year anniversary, and at this stage in my life, like, what do I want to do? And I wanted to broaden and expand my audience to helping women of all walks of life. I've always supported women. uh, 70%, or no, I'm sorry, 97% of assistants are female. So I've been around females forever and know their challenges. I know their frustrations. I know they wear all these hats because it isn't just about their work. They've got families, they've got aging parents, they've got kids, they've got partners, and yet they've got to take care of themselves. So I made that decision this year. I was going to expand and go on that journey. I created, in a way, a second business, just my Joan Burge speaker business. I have a separate site for that. And I wrote the book, yes, Red Lipstick On. I've been wanting to write this book for 13 years. It's been on my heart. And I guess this was the time. I guess I couldn't have written it 13 years ago the way I wrote it, because I had to go through my husband dying from pancreatic cancer. I went through my own traumatic brain surgery, 10-hour brain surgery. The year after, I went through open heart surgery. Like, I could not have written the book the way it is today had I not had those personal challenges and crises in my life. So the journey continues on and moving into this new experience. I don't want to say a movement. Everybody says a women's movement. No, this is a whole lifestyle. Red Lipstick's a lifestyle. It's how you want to live boldly and radiantly and show up in life. And so it's exciting. I have a merchandise line, and we're going to be doing some virtual experiences starting next year, in a newsletter. Keep challenging myself, I guess, and how I can, and thinking about how to help others.
I love it.
Was that a mouthful?
It was amazing. I love it. I love it. And I'm sure there are so many nuances and offshoots that we could go down with every single part of your journey. I really appreciate you doing that, and just your story of resiliency and just not quitting and pivoting over and over again. It really is very inspiring. So I appreciate you taking the time to go into those major those chapter headings of your life.
Thank
Okay, so a few questions for you. I love how you brought up that this space was essentially creating a whole new industry, because even though like these office managers and assistants are literally running the lives of the executives, like there just wasn't, they're undervalued the support that they need to be able to do that job. So I'm curious, like as you got on the phone and like started to get traction, like what was the messaging that finally started to break through to these executives that this is something that's actually needed?
It was about really, I think, highlighting for them that it was a couple things. One, that they were spending time on things that they really don't need to spend their time on. I always talk about what's your value in the workplace. If you're an executive earning $200 an hour, 150, 300, who knows? Really, should you be doing your calendaring? Really, should you be setting up your meetings? Really, should you be doing those things? And that kind of hits them when I say you need to focus on what you do best and what impacts the bottom line of your business. And there is a person who is very talented who can easily take those things on, given that they are provided the education and training to move into that next space, to be your strategic partner. So talking about that, the value that, the time savings that they could increase their productivity by 25 to 30% if they one knew how you could utilize that assistant, but also that assistant has to develop and go beyond the basics of how to set a calendar, how to do the organizational skills, that they need this deeper level of learning and education to be able to align with them and be their part. So I would put a lot on them, like, oh, not you need to train, get training for them. They do need it. That was the point. But when I get them to see the value it actually brings to them,
Mm,
then it's easier. I'm coming in that back way, right?
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
ultimately they are going to benefit.
Yeah, I love that. Because at the end of the day, like it's the company that's paying for the training for the
Yeah,
assistants, right?
exactly. So
So,
they want that return on investment. What am I going to get out of it?
yeah, I love that. So, does your business still work the same? Like, do you reach out directly like to the assistants to like have community and training, or is it still going to the company primarily and the company
Yeah,
providing that training?
it's changed a lot. It really has because so what we do today is we don't go after it per se, really. Because you can't get through to anybody today. There's so much security, like you can't pick up the phone and call a company and try to hope to talk to an HR person. You just can't get through to anybody. So that makes it a lot different. And then, so one thing is, especially because of the virtual world, it's more the assistant who we are speaking to now when we're doing our marketing. We're providing a lot of content. We put a lot of content out on our social and then through a newsletter and helping educate that assistant and giving them this information and tools. And then usually then they want to sign up maybe for one of the courses, or they might recommend us to their company or to their leader for some further training or education or coaching. So it's definitely a different world. Like pre-pandemic, the companies were calling us. I mean, we didn't have to do anything. They knew they wanted training, and I believe because we had that length of credibility, when they were searching, they would find Office Dynamics.
Hmm.
So we didn't have to really push a lot. I mean, yeah, we had to talk with them, especially if they were investing in a big contract, and really showing that value. But today, it's not so much talking to that company. We hope I mean, we have our blogs that we post regularly for education. People are finding us, again, it's kind of when they know they want it and then they find us. Like we did a lot of coaching this year. But really, our goal is and I have a new marketing team, is to continue to really just provide good education and content where they could see, like, we really care. We're not trying to sell you because what we do know, and I think even me as an individual, when you keep giving me these great tidbits of what to do or great information, it's like I want to learn more from you, and then maybe I will take a course because you've been educating me and I can see your intelligence and I could tell you're knowledgeable versus maybe someone else, right? Who's guiding me, maybe not in the best direction, not a bad direction, but not the best.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. I think that do you think that the companies are not as reaching out, like not reaching out because of like budgetary constraints, or do you think like the remote worker component has changed things and
Yeah.
so people are not in the office as much anymore, so they're not seeing that as a problem? Like what do you think is the main issue with that?
Yes, the primary I would say is that the remote work and the hybrid. And we were in it so long. I do truly believe that only lasted 6 months, maybe the people wouldn't have gotten so used to that environment. When you are in something for years, then that's your comfort zone and you don't want to go out of that. So people got very comfortable, being home and working from home. And yes, even though they're called back to the offices, many of the companies still are only requiring 3 days. So I feel that there was that impact. And also organizations learned through that they can easily provide training for their employees via camera and not fly somebody like me in. I mean, there's an expense to bringing us in on site. And so I think it's that combination. They don't have maybe as many people in the offices on a regular basis to say, let's do in person. The other part could be they're only doing leadership training. I don't know, maybe in person for management has come back. And I have been doing some training here locally for a company with non-admin staff. So I do get work for non-admin staff, but that's been a big part of it. And like I said, the companies, it's so easy to just do the virtual, right? And that's it. You don't incur the expense of it. The other piece this year was definitely budgetary. We saw that in our conference registrations, and we had a lot of people that had to end up canceling, especially when the government shutdown happened. So that there was a big impact this year just and the assistants have told me that their companies were cutting back or there was too much uncertainty, so they weren't making any decisions as far as letting people go to training or conferences, too much political disruption. And I don't get into politics, but there's been a lot of disruption, uncertainty this year. Tariff wise, that didn't help, not on us so much, but our clients, businesses were impacted by tariffs. We had a lot of Canadian people that did want to come, and companies wanted to send their assistants. And when that kicked in, they said, no way, we're not going to send anybody to the United States. I mean, it did get into that kind of thing this year. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping next year is better. I mean, I have at least, I am excited to say, I've gotten 3 engagements already for in person next year. So I hope that's a sign that more of that will come back. I did read something too the other day. Gosh, I'm sorry I forgot what trade journal it was in. But or maybe it was the meeting planners that people are really getting tapped out on the virtual and kind of wanting that in-person experience again. Hopefully that is, and that would be good news.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love how in touch you are with the market dynamics and how they're impacting the business. And I love how like you can. It's one of my favorite things about office administrators and assistants is like they know everything, right? It's like you talk to them and they're like, well, this is what's going on in the company, which is why. So it's like they're like secret agents, right?
Yeah.
Like you just like get this in-depth detail about how the market is impacting the company, which impacts your sales and things like that. But I love how you still are talking about all of these potential setbacks like with a smile on your face. You're like, it is what it is. Like, but we're gonna pivot and do our best to find inroads because at the end of the day, your service is still valuable and still will provide an ROI for the businesses that work with you. So that's so cool.
Yeah, and it's hard. I mean, it is harder today. I think it's a lot harder, as far as reaching people. And there's so much competition when everybody else is on social and everybody else, we have access to all of these areas where like for the first 20 years, I was it. I mean, I was it pioneering that whole industry, doing all that training. Well, more and more people have come on board and there's more visibility because of the technology and the digital world. So it's probably for, I mean, all businesses, right? Yet I say that with a grain of salt because, yes, there is more competition. But when you dig deep into those people and the work they've done, they maybe don't have the depth and the experience. So, my advice, you just can't look on the surface either when you're searching out, you know, organizations for what you need and the services you need because a lot could look similar, but when you go deep into that background is where you see there's some of the differentiators, and that's what we focus on. What are our differentiators?
Mhm.
Not like others who do admin training. I got 35 years of experience, the credibility, the volume, the courses we've written, that's where the substance has to come in. I don't know. Make sense?
100%. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and uh, it's so important to like nothing can replace experience, right? And so I love that you're leaning into that. So cool. Okay, so powerful. So okay, so you have your book, and so tell me, like, is this more of a like it was this more of like a personal fulfillment, like you had to get it done? Was it a very strategic business play and you're leveraging it for content and lead generation? Like, talk to me about more about the book.
Yes, all of it. No. Well, it's just been a personal book. Red lipstick on, you know, is my thing. I've worn red lipstick forever. And it isn't about wearing lipstick per se. It's not about makeup, what it represents. It's what red stands for. Red is strong, it's bold. It means I'm ready to lead, I'm ready to step into the difficult situation. I'm ready to have that difficult conversation. I'm ready to take on those projects, or I'm ready to go through that surgery if I have to have that surgery. It's really about what the color red stands for. And then the mantra is red lipstick on. So I say red lipstick on when, okay, yeah, like I've got to tackle something difficult. Or like right now, I don't have anything difficult per se, but I have a laundry list of things I have to do before holiday break. So it's like red lipstick on. That means just step and do it. Do it, Joan. Get it going. I might say red lipstick on if I have to have a difficult conversation with somebody. So it becomes a mantra which sets your mind to put you into action. So that's
It's like your superhero cape.
it
It's your
is.
superhero uniform, right?
Yeah. And I wear it all the time. Even people will say, well, you're not going to see anybody. Well, I'm not doing it for everybody all the time. It's for me. Even when I'm home cleaning the house, swipe on the red lipstick. It's how it makes me feel. But the book it's been on my heart for 13 years. In 2012, the year after my husband died, I wrote a book for women called Give Yourself Permission to Live a Big Life. And that talked about really more the breadth and depth of your life, not how many years you live. I mean, my husband died at 60. So to me, it's what are you doing in your life? Are you living just a busy life, or are you living a big life? And it was framed around, very briefly, 5 pillars that I call them the big life pillars: career, family, financial, spiritual, and wellness. So I touched on it there. Well, since that time, a lot has happened to me in the last 13 years. Like I said, all these personal crises I had to deal with, and then the challenges with my business. So I went through a lot, and I learned a lot, and I grew a lot. So this has always been on my heart, but I decided this is the year I'm writing it. So it's a lot of personal stories and memoir. The sections are broken into the 5 pillars: career, family, financial, spiritual, and wellness. So in each of those pillars, what have I gone through, good and bad, during all that time? And then the lessons, though. How do you apply this in your life? Talking about like even the finances, for women, like you've got to be strategic with your finances. It's not just knowing how to do math. These are the things I've learned all this time that I've had to do this and being, on my own and running a business. And it's a lot about, sisterhood and that women power. So there's definitely educational tips in here. There's strategies that I've used. At the end of each section, there's mantras, affirmations, positive affirmations. And what was the other thing? Yeah, so I've got, tips, and then the mantras, what you've got to say to yourself. And it's the other part really in here is I talk a lot about debunking the old beliefs and paradigms about aging, because I'm tired of them. And I'm 73. So I want to change the script. I want people to stop thinking about men too, but I am especially this for women, but stop thinking that you're 70 and you got to slow down and you stop doing things. Are you kidding? I can get out there and go dance on the dance floor with my 21-year-old grandkids. In fact, my one grandson who's turning 21 December 30th, they want me to go out and party with them. So that's what we're going to do. So it's like that is so old-fashioned thinking. Like, I know so many people and women who are vibrant at this stage. Some of my best friends are running their businesses. They're going 100 miles an hour. They're not about to slow down. So that's, what I hope to inspire the younger generation to don't think that way anymore. You can just keep dreaming and fulfilling your dreams. It doesn't have to stop till the day you're not on this earth. As long as you can move and you're healthy, I mean, as long as you have movement, you can do that. You can still continue to, and you have to want that. You have to want it. You have to want to grow. Like I just put this quote by my workspace, so right here by my computer, because I also love quotes around my desk to keep me glowing. I found this one yesterday. It came up. One can choose to go back toward safety or forward toward growth. Growth must be chosen again and again. Fear must be overcome again and again. And I know that's what I've had to do. And so if I do get a little intimidated now, like maybe, oh my God, am I really going to try to get on the road again? And I want to get out there and I want to speak at all these women events and I want to create a new conference for women. Like, I think, am I crazy? Like, really? And then this is true. I don't want to stay in a safe place. I don't want to go back to a safe place. I want that challenge. And that's is also what keeps me young in my head, you know.
I love it so much, man. I kind of wish you were my preacher on Sunday. I think you'd be a good one.
Thank you.
No, I
I
love it.
can preach
You can. You can. The whole time you were speaking, I was just like, say it louder for the people in the back. Like, it's so good. So
when
good.
I'm passionate and I believe in something. Oh yeah.
So fantastic. Well, Joan, I know that I'm looking at the time and I'm like, oh man, I
Yeah,
feel like we're like just getting started. But you
it's been
really,
fun.
yes, we'll have to have a round two for sure. But it has been an absolute joy and pleasure having you on the podcast today, and I really appreciate you sharing your heart and your story and your life and the obstacles that you overcome. Like that quote said, I love that quote a lot. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So for people that want to get in touch with you or follow you or find your conferences or your books, how do they get in touch?
Great. There's two places actually, not to make it complicated, but the joanburge.com. That is all my women's leadership and empowerment. That's for all women, every walk of life. So I would encourage you to go there and you'll find the book. And then on the workplace excellence training side, that's officedynamics.com.
Okay, I
And
love
I'm
it.
on all the social stuff, Office Dynamics and Joan Burge. So I'm on all the socials.
Okay, I love it. Guys, I'm going to put the links to all of her social handles as well as the websites that she mentioned down in the episode notes so that you can link out to those and be able to find more of her resources. And so again, Joan, thank you so much for coming and for being such a powerhouse today.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
All right, guys. So thank you so much for tuning into the Marketing Matrix. We know that your time is valuable. So for you to choose to spend some time with us means the absolute world. So until next time on the Marketing Matrix.